Hello, everyone. Happy to meet you here in the clouds. We are glad to know you came right on time, and we are glad you're still waiting right up until this moment. We apologize deeply for the delay. It's not in our character to keep you beyond the time we have planned to kick off this program. We apologize so deeply, and you know the way it is. When you're working with technology, you don't have things going your way exactly the way you plan it. You have your plans, and then the equipment and machine decide to behave differently. You learn to roll with the punches. We're deeply sorry, and thank you for holding on right up until this moment. We have some 500 attendees, participants at the moment, and we are just starting. My name is Ikenna Onwebuna. I am the University Orator, and it is my pleasure to serve as your anchor. If you applaud, I will know, because I will see your electronic hand. Okay, thank you. We've seen so many hands that are raised. I don't think there's any reason for that now. There'll come a time when we go into plenary and you use your raise hand buttons. Yes, I can see people who are applauding. Thank you very much. Thank you and welcome. We are starting with the opening ceremony now, and we are godly people, no matter how anybody sees that. And being godly people, we start our events by giving reverence to God. So we'll start with a prayer.
Yeah, once more, welcome to this workshop. We have to start with an opening prayer. My name is Professor I.S. Ochio. Let us pray. In Jesus' name, in the mighty name of Jesus. Father, we want to thank you for the gift of life. We want to thank you for the soundness of health. We want to thank you for the brightness of the day. But I also want to thank you for this PGC 601 and 701 workshop that will last from today till next tomorrow. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for having graciously been with us from the planning stage. As we're about to start the program, we pray that you descend in the fullness of your power and glory to be in our midst, to keep us guided, to cause, Heavenly Father, this workshop to be of benefit, especially to our masters and PhD students all over. Father, we pray that you grant us the grace, Heavenly Father, to do the needful. Be thou exalted, for we pray in the mighty name of Jesus. And amen.
Thank you very much. And thank you for participating in the prayers. So it is the event of the 6th in the series of workshops on PGC 601 research methodology and application of ICT in research, and PGC 701 synopsis and research grant writing, organized by the School of Postgraduate Studies of the University of Nigeria and the Nnamdi Azikiwe Library of the University of Nigeria. Thank you and welcome to this session. We will bring in now the Dean of the School of Postgraduate Studies, who will formally welcome us. Let us meet and greet Professor R. Ezokonkwo. Good morning, everybody. I want to read a welcome address. A welcome address by the Dean School of Postgraduate Studies, University of Nigeria, Nsukka, on the 2020-2021 academic session workshop on PGC 601, Research, Methodology, and Application of ICT in Research, and PGC 701, Synopsis and Grant Writing, holding virtually from the 6th to 8th day of December 2022. The Vice Chancellor, our Deputy Vice Chancellors, all Principal Officers of the University, Deans of Faculty, Directors of Centers and Institutes, Heads of Academic Department and Administrative Units, all teaching and non-teaching staff of the University, my dear postgraduate students, great lions and lionesses, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the School of Postgraduate Studies, University of Nigeria, Nsukka, I warmly welcome you all to the 6th edition of our workshop on PGC 601, Research, Methodology, and Application of ICT in Research, for our fresh master's degree students, and PGC 701, Synopsis and Scientific Writing, for our fresh PhD students. This workshop has become an annual event since 2016 and is compulsory for all postgraduate students in their first year of studies here. I humbly enjoin you to relax, pay great attention, and follow strictly the program of events carefully drawn for the 2020-2021 PGC workshop. I want to emphasize here that there's every need for students to participate in the program. You don't just key in and walk out. Listen attentively and you will learn a lot. And let me remind us again that both people that registered officially and did register officially may participate here. You can only gain certificate from this participation when you pay and register to the university. I understand that some people fill the forms and are on here, but if you haven't paid your 6,000 naira to the university fund, you cannot be taken as having participated in this program. So to be forewarned is to be forearmed. I want you to do the needful and get yourself fully registered and documented so that you can be issued with a certificate emanating from this program. May the good Lord guide and direct you as you participate fully in this year's workshop. The School of Postgraduate Studies, with the approval of the University of Nigeria Senate, earlier in 2015, revised the School of Postgraduate Studies regulations to accommodate the minimum benchmark of the National Universities Commission, NUC, to the effect that a three-plunged approach to studies in research methodology, whereby the courses PGC 601, that is Research, Methodology, and Application of ICT in Research, and PGC 701, Synopsis and Grant Writing, were introduced and taught at departmental, faculty, and SPGS level. Thus, in October 2016, the School of Postgraduate Studies, with the collaboration of the Nnamdi Azikiwe Library, organized the very first workshop in these courses to keep the fresh postgraduate students abreast of the international best practices in postgraduate education. The organization of this workshop has been markedly improved upon since then, and this year's workshop promises to be better than the ones done before now. The philosophy behind the introduction of the workshop hinges on the School of Postgraduate Studies effort to strictly key into its vision and mission statements, and not of the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, whereby qualified persons are attracted, educated, trained, transformed, and deployed to the forefront of research, teaching, innovation, and industry, leading to the speedy development of the key sectors of the world economy. And in doing so, the dignity of man would have been restored. Once more, I warmly welcome you to the 2020-2021 edition of the workshop on PGC 601 and 701. God bless you all as you pay a great attention and participate effectively in this well-packaged workshop. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Dean of School of Postgraduate Studies, for that welcome address. We're making progress. And next is the Vice Chancellor's address. I urge you to pay attention as the Vice Chancellor, University of Nigeria, Nsukka, Professor Charles Igwe, makes his presentation through his designee, the Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration. Sorry, Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, Professor Johnson Rama, the Vice Chancellor's address. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Let me start by recognizing the presence of the Dean of the School of Postgraduate School, the Dean of Deans, Professor Romanus Ezekonko. All other deans that may have joined virtually are recognized, all the resource persons, all the professors, distinguished academics, senior administrative staff, their students, great lions and lionesses. It's a great pleasure for me to be in this function representing our dear Vice Chancellor, the 15th Vice Chancellor of the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, Professor Charles Arizechukwu Igwe. He's not able to be here physically, but he has sent his warmest regards. And he has also given me his message to our dear postgraduate students. And I'm going to read his message. I have the honor and pleasure of welcoming you, valued staff and respected students of our great University of Nigeria, as we continue in our march to sustain an academic exercise that has already started to deliver an enviable and enduring quality in our committed quest to restore the dignity of man via our postgraduate program. In step with the benchmark of the National Universities Commission, NUC, the School of Postgraduate Studies of the University of Nigeria, with the approval of the Senate, revised the postgraduate student regulations to accommodate a three-pronged approach to studies in research methodology, whereby the courses PGC C01, Research Methodology and Application of ICT in Research, and PGC 701, Synopsis and Grant Writing, are introduced and handled at school, faculty, and departmental levels. Consequently, the school collaborated effectively with the Nnamdi Azikiwe Library of the University to organize the first edition of the workshop/training in October 2016. In this sixth edition, we are much more comfortable in advancing the exercise that is taking off today in the cloud. The vision of the University of Nigeria to create a functional, globally competitive and research-focused university that is responsive to the needs of the society while delivering world-class education and knowledge, and her mission to place the university in the forefront of research and development, innovation, knowledge transfer, and human resource development in the global academic terrain, while promoting the core values which will ensure the restoration of the dignity of man, are foreground in the introduction of PGC 601 and PGC 701 by the School of Postgraduate Studies. The solution-based series of interactive workshops with practical demonstrations and applications of contemporary trends in research methodology is aimed at producing seasoned scholars who will chart the course of the new world economy that's driven by electronic technology. It is so that this cream of our 2020-2021 postgraduate students who are privileged to be part of these world-class workshops and training will key into the enormous opportunities that will be professionally delivered by our carefully handpicked experts in research and ICT. I wish you God's guidance in your deliberations. And on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, I now formally declare the workshop open. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, our amiable Vice Chancellor, for that speech. If you check your program, we would be expecting the talk, the featured talk. And we are still trying to confirm. We are still trying to confirm that our featured speaker is here. So yeah, confirmation just reached. In a couple of moments, you will be privileged to listen to Professor Honorable Weke, who is our featured speaker today and who will address us very briefly in a few minutes. Remember, it is still the 6th edition of the School of Postgraduate Studies of the University of Nigeria's workshop on PGC 601 and 701 taking place in the cloud. And I can see your appreciation. From charts that come across here, we see you appreciating that we're able to make this possible through the online link, and which from your comments, you find very conducive, considering what it takes to travel across space and time today in our country, and making it possible too for people to join us globally, since the meeting is through the Zoom. Don't forget too that the University of Nigeria is collaborating with the Nnamdi Azikiwe Library for this presentation. So the PG School and the Nnamdi Azikiwe Library are all poised to ensure that you get the best and from the comfort of your locations. We will be bringing in the featured speaker any moment now. And so I urge you to get your pads and pens ready, because you stand to benefit a lot from the loaded presentation that Professor Weke is going to give us very soon. Also, feel free to put water around you in case you need some fluid to lubricate while this session is going on. Yeah, thank you as you keep responding to the demands of this meeting by responding with your registration details. Since the meeting is recorded, we can capture them and use them appropriately where they are designated to be used. Yeah, I am buying time to allow you pick up your writing materials so that you can make notes as the featured speaker comes on very shortly. Thank you again. The attendance has been fluctuating. We understand this has to do with the network. It goes up and it comes down. But we have netted the average of 500 so far. And we appreciate that you are taking advantage of the opportunities that we have provided to make this available to you from wherever you are globally. So, if you have not picked up your pen and paper yet, I'm still buying time to help you do that. I also said you may want to have your water around you so that you can see as we move on. It's going to be a well-loaded one. The plenary session will be starting after the talk by our featured speaker. And in the plenary session, we have the first training by the University Library, which will come immediately after the talk. I would say that we have consumed our break time of 15 minutes, so maybe we wouldn't have that. We will take the first training immediately after the talk, then we'll take a break, and the second training will still come from the University, Nnamdi Azikiwe University Library. Then we'll take a break, and then in the third session, we'll take yet another training from the library. We hope to round off very quickly so that you can also go to attend to other needs of yours that are quite important to you. We will continue tomorrow with day 2. Tomorrow is Wednesday, December 7th. And we will handle candidates at the Nsukka campus. The assumption is that we're handling students at Nsukka and Enugu campuses today. So on the second day, we will start again with our attention to students in the campus of University of Nigeria, Nsukka. And tomorrow we will attend to all PhD candidates. And we also will start with research, grant writing, and our featured presenter will be Professor Jerry Ugwani. We'll also take publishing in impact factor rated journals, which will be handled by Professor A.A. Ubaju. Synopsis writing will be handled by Professor B.M. Ba. All of these are contained in electronic timeline that we have sent out to you. We hope you're able to harvest it. Now we are ready to take the featured talk. I was excited when I saw our level of internet literacy as we uploaded electronically. We're going to do that now as I introduce our featured speaker for today, who will give you what he has prepared for you and lead you into appreciating the topic for his presentation. And at this point, I present to you the featured speaker, Professor James Konebo Nweke. Please applaud him like you have done before electronically. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, all. Thank you so much for this great invitation. And I'm very sorry to be a bit late because I was waiting at the PG school. I didn't really know this venue. I came all the way from Enugu because I want to be here. So it's better than staying at home. And I want to take this opportunity to appreciate all the organizers of this workshop. I've been a part of this workshop since 2018, which is wonderful. And I appreciate every time to be here. And I thank the VC of the school. I thank the organizing committee, the dean, the chairman of the organizing committee, and all those that make this workshop a reality each time. It's worth doing, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much. The research workshop is more of a practical endeavor, that it should be an interactive thing with the students in order to acquaint themselves with idea of what research is really all about. And of course, what we are going to do in the entire program is to give the students the tools, the practical approach to what they need in order to carry out an effective and decent and publishable work in academic journal. This workshop is indeed the key for anyone that's venturing into postgraduate program to get more information, get idea to know where to get the tools you require in order to help you to achieve the first goal of your being a PG student. Because the first goal is that you're going to write a project paper, if you like, master thesis or PhD dissertation before you graduate. And the overall idea of what the research and paper writing is all about will be given in this very workshop. And then before you go to departmental level. And then I will just take the overview because there's a lot to talk about. But of course, I'm not going to bother you with so much of the PowerPoint. But to tell you what to think about when you think about research, because the world have changed dramatically. You don't just come to school just because you want to get a degree to help someone. That means for someone to employ you, you have to think about a degree that will make you what what you want to be, and of course, give you the power to be able even to employ others, not just graduating for someone to employ you. So now when we're thinking about the research this time around, it's not like before. It's going to be an applied research paper that you are writing. So in dealing with this issue, there are things that I want us to think about, but number one is to think about, I call it activate your research mood. What does that mean? Activate your research mood. What it really means for you and for everyone is that when you hear about research, what do you think about? The entire thing we are going to talk about here. I give you, for instance, if someone invites you right now and you're expecting to go for an interview at Abuja, and you receive a letter yesterday afternoon, today you must be at Abuja by 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the evening for the interview. What do? Your brain will just click, say, oh, what do I do? How do I prepare for this job? By what means? Any means that you take to get to Abuja depends on what the resources available. Do you have the money to fly? Do you have the money for the bus? Or what kind of means you get there? Exactly, that's what research is all about. You have to activate this thinking of what am I going to do in order to get this work done. And to get a work done, there are a lot of things to think about. And exactly that, every speaker here is going to be telling you what you require in order to get academic paper completed, published. And everyone that is going to present is going to touch on each of these elements that you require. Of course, by participating in the research and academic writing workshop today, doesn't mean automatically that it will make you a researcher. No, but what to think about when you want to research. And that's why you must be on that research move in order to get what you want. So number two is you understand the attribute of research and academic writing. What does it all, what are we talking about? There are a lot. When you say academic paper, what do you know about that? How do you know that? Number three, review what you know about methodology, research, and academic writing. Very important. And it depends on to what extent do you know after all. Then, what do you know about academic writing assumptions? What is it that you need to do in order to be sure that you're writing the standard paper that you are required of you? How do you know that you know that? It's a big talk. Discover where the gaps exist. That is number one thing to think about writing at all. You cannot begin to write without discovering a gap, because people have been writing a lot of things, good papers and everything. Okay, what's missing here? What do you think that is missing? How do we know that something is missing? And that's where you are going to be filling that gap. It's after you have thought of all these things that you can be able to develop a good research topic. Good research topic must serve a purpose for you as the writer, number one, and then for who? For the target audience, for the university, because there is something they represent. You have to factor all this when you write a research paper. Then, number 8, practice evaluation. Number one thing, we won't get into that, you know that. So practice evaluation is very vital if you are to write a good research paper, because after all, how can you know that you're writing a good research paper when you cannot evaluate what others have written before you? And when you cannot read an existing academic article and say, oh, this person is not doing the right thing here, there's something wrong or there's something right, and criticize it. If you're able to evaluate what others have written, then you are prepared to write a good paper. You have to think and practice evaluation. And then you engage in object of your study. Which one is it? Very sorry, we'll fix that. Yeah, so that we can. Can we ship it? Okay, click it. Because this one is not. No, I just want to get. What of to go up? Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Then you have to have a basic research plan, okay? And then you have to also recognize your roles in the research process. Know that of your supervisor, your professor, know that it's not writing a thesis for you, but it's just helping you and guiding you in a certain things that you are doing to make sure that you do the right thing. And self-reflection is important. If you want to be a successful researcher, you must be open to criticism and accept it positively, not to be angry, because when somebody is criticizing what you have written, and we now talk about why it matters, there are lots to deal with here. Now, the objective of all these things is what? To produce a paper that you can be proud of. But basic thing you must know is that you are doing science. When you are doing research, and it is evidence-based, it's systematic and logical. So that means you have to separate myth from fact, superstition, beliefs, fake news, and rumors. You must be able to question every idea. You must be able to question what you have read. You don't just base your judgment by just reading one article without even knowing the source of this article. And how do you establish a fact? You have to look for other facts to cross-check what you have. Then you know that you are prepared. You have a quest to discover something new for you to be so happy and very proud to progress in your dissertation or master thesis. You must have the quest to move forward, to do something, to change existing things in a better way. That's innovation. Then you know that writing is one thing. You can write to yourself and it looks so good, but think that you are communicating to a wider audience. There are so many people, if you write now to yourself and read it, you say, oh, this is so good. But the neighbors sitting beside you, can this person read and understand what you're writing? How do you communicate your findings? It's vital. So that's why you have to learn how to develop a research that will be applicable anywhere, anytime. And that's why it demands applied research approach. So you will develop your writing competency with time. So, and the idea-based every research and everything you can think about is when you come to, you will hear about it from diverse students, from the faculty level and everything. It's about the methodology. And it has to do with the ontology, epistemology. The two things is the key. How do you define things? How you define things even start to give you an idea how you are going to measure things. You will listen to various speakers that are going to present all these issues before you even think about measuring something. So you don't just follow just the crowd. People say something, you follow it. No, what is the definition back in this? Why is it defined the way it was defined? Before you even think about going to measure it, it's very important. As a student, a master student, a PhD student, think and the source for information, how you can handle this. So that's why you need to review whatever you have known about methodology, research, and academic writing. Consider academic writing assumptions. First of all, in order to read every paper, you have to check all the sources that you got this material from. Are they peer review materials? Who published it? Literature review? Did the authors synthesize multiple sources? You should be able to understand exactly what you are doing, but why you check all these things. Then evaluate the main components of the academic paper. This takes another training for you to read an article that someone published and say, okay, this particular paper is good. I will ask you, good, how? What do you check? What do you look at? Look at the methods, look at the result, look at the findings, the discussion, the conclusion, the conceptual and theoretical framework guiding this, because all these things are interlinked. How did the author research and then present the literature reviews? These are the things. This, I'm just introducing you to all this. But of course, it comes with time. So what the idea is to develop at least 2 or 3 research topics. If you are starting to write, maybe one will be so good. Then try to consider each of these topics, because in a whole lot of papers, there are things that you must think of when you think about topics. You say what, why, how, and where. Othering is not linear, but you have to think about research now that will help you as an individual, not about university. It's you, because you need this to get to the next level. You need to write a research that you'll be proud of. Globally, everyone that wants to make a mark must do something significantly different from what that is existing. Because if you log onto your Google, just key anything, you will see multiple information. Why is your own unique? Why should anyone even think about this topic? It must be something worth doing. That's why it's important. For you to develop a good research topic, think about discussing with colleagues. Throw it out. Let them criticize you. Explain to them what you want to do. So in all, you will get their criticism will shape what you are thinking. Don't think that they are out to bring you down. They are there to take you up. So everything that will be done today concerning the paper writing workshop, which is supposed you ask question, interaction, you understand some certain things, but of course we are online. There might be some limitation, but be able to know, where do I reach for this information, even after this? Who is rendering this? How do I get this information? And on which manner can I approach it? So try as much as possible to engage in discussion with your peers. It's very important, because they will help you and shape the way you think about it. Then practice evaluation. Like as I said before, you cannot write a good paper without understanding the problem with the existing ones. Have you ever done that before? Think about that this time around, because you need to understand how these things interact. So otherwise, you must have perhaps constructed a hypothesis before, but did this hypothesis mean anything at all? Did this reflect the logic of inference? Can it be measured and then come to conclusion that this is exactly what you want to give? Because you must know what it is wrong with existing hypotheses. Why did they formulate this hypothesis, and why is it wrong? And there's so many that are wrong. So you need to practice it. So that's why, as a workshop, if we had the opportunity, we should have been able to evaluate some existing papers published by academic scholars And then you will be able to know, oh, this paper, if I ask you whether this paper is good or is bad, tell me what makes it good, what makes it bad. And every paper, there is good and bad. But then you have to think about it. So think about it. Engage the object of your study. So if you get to your own faculty, try as much as possible to read what others have published, what other students have written before you. Read their works, see what is good. And if you cannot find what is good, what they have written concerning their question, concerning their topic, concerning the method they use, and the kind of analysis, well, did they actually measure what they want to measure? If you cannot really evaluate what they have done yourself, to be able to write your own standard research paper could be very difficult. And then you need to reach out to all the sources that could help you. There are so many. Like myself, that is a mentoring unit, which is research and academic writing. Is different from the faculty level. You have in the faculty level, okay, who will tell you the standards with it. The other people will tell you, okay, now guide you exactly, this is what is missing here. And in order to understand these evaluations, this paper, this is it that you need to do. Of course, it cannot come within a second. It takes time, but you must endeavor to make progress. Then you come to the idea of, you'll know about it by now. Plagiarism is an offense, which is so common. Even so many students, they will write something, they will say, they write a lot of paper from introduction and they're writing and going, how did you know all these things? There is no reference, there is nothing. They say, but I just know it. Did you know it from the air? Of course, you don't know it from the air. You got the information from somewhere over time without even realizing that you build your knowledge based on the knowledge of others. Academic writing requires you to do something different that you have to reference. Okay. So you don't pretend, you don't say, oh, I know everything already. You don't know it because most of the things you have written, you have read it somewhere. Even though you put it in your own words, you have to reference somewhere at least. Academic writing requires that in order to avoid plagiarism. If you want to publish a paper in an international journal, if you write just everything, continuously writing, nobody will believe you. They will trash your paper. You know, when we talk about this paraphrasing, sorry, I don't know how this thing is changing by itself. Okay, be consistent with referencing style, whichever one you are writing anyway, whether it's APA, but these are, don't change from this and this, but you have to also know the difference between the APA and Harvard and MRI, Chicago. There are different ways of writing it. You have to be consistent. Anyone you are using within your faculty level, within your department. When you listen to various speakers today, you might learn some of these things, but of course, it comes with time. You don't mix up all these things. Now it's good also that in this workshop, you should know that when all the speakers, they will be talking about the supervisors and the faculty level and all the people that will be involved in helping you establish a clear communication lines between you and the faculty supervisor, the chairperson, if you have the member. Oh my God. And they have no solar system. Are you sure you don't? Okay, I hope that my students might be hearing me right now. Okay, because this is still on. That's okay. We have power off right now. But of course, if you can hear me, that's fine. So we can continue. So now, We try as much as possible to make this an interaction as much as it can be. But you as a student, you're in your hostel, you're at home and everything, it's not a problem. At the end of the day, this PowerPoint will be uploaded and then you can have access to that. So, but it's important, you initiate a dialogue with a draft, a premise, a prospectus or proposal. Before anything, before I can just travel into your heart and know what you have in your mind, except you have a draft of what you want. Just make it anyhow you want. Don't wait to write the best paper. There's nothing like best paper, okay? Just write as you can. Then you can dialogue with your supervisor, with your mentor, with whoever that interested to help. Before you know it, you are fashioning your paper and getting it ready the way that you'll be proud of at the end of the day. So the idea is you send all the drafts, the research and academic writing mentor, or faculty supervisor, or chairperson, whoever. Now, develop a time management plan for your project. Very important. Then practice the art of research and writing. Mind the language, the grammar, the text. This comes later. Don't worry about that for now. When you are writing, when you start writing, forget about that, okay? Forget about writing, good grammar, good this. It will come later on. But just write as you can write. It will be fashionable. Don't be overwhelmed by what people have written so far. When you read other students' master thesis or dissertation, it looks so good. It wasn't so good overnight. They spent time fashioning it out, okay, preparing it. So do not be overwhelmed. Just start where you are. You will get there. But be ready to have that research mind that you will proceed. And that's how papers get done. I've written so many books. I didn't just wake up. My children used to wonder, how did I do this? I said, well, it takes time. It's not just you wake up in the morning, you sit down on the computer, you start writing. No, it takes time. And at the end of the day, it will be done. So never you get overwhelmed about the issues. Okay. Okay. Now know your roles. That means expect comments from supervisors, from mentors, colleagues, friends, and work on them. When you receive all these comments from supervisors, you shouldn't be angry. Be ready, be willing, because more comments means that they want to help you to fashion out a perfect and a good work. If you learn how to accept constructive criticism with gladness, I can assure you that's where you know that you are developing a paper that is going to contribute into the body of knowledge that existed. Okay? Because it's very vital that what we are doing today in the 21st century is never the same with before. Because you have to create, first of all, a word for your own, because today is not like before. There is no employment. They say someone employ a factory. You can create that employment that you are looking for through here, through what you are writing today. So receive criticism with gladness. Work hard, remain focused with your objective, remain disciplined with time, and be patient. Above other things, be patient. It will come. But why all this, if you are very, very attentive, what I'm with all these things that I'm talking today, look at all the people that are going to present. Think about what they are going to talk about when they deal with all this quantitative listening and analysis, whatever. You must know that whatever you are doing, you are creating something that will help you as a person, not to someone sitting there in that office, not to your supervisor, but you. Okay? Any criticism, if they say this thing is not correct, it's not good, I'm not understanding you, you try to work with them to see how do you understand it. So you fashion out something better for you. And then you'll be so glad that you do. So now, do not make everything say, is this supervisor's problem? Is this problem? Accept responsibility. Okay, in the research process, no matter wherever it has gone wrong, accept responsibility. Do not attribute it to someone else, because that is where the problem comes, of seeing somebody as the source of your problem instead of seeing yourself. Accept it, okay? You will, because one day you will become a professor as well. Accept it. and work hard, and you'll get there. So now, of course, this is where I'm going to close the curtain. I thank you all so much for this opportunity to speak to you, and I hope that you will take note of all what I've said and make progress in your research. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Future Speaker, Professor Honorable Mweke. And thank you, valued students out there. I see you already applauding. That means you got value from what was presented to you. Like I promised, we will start the plenary session right away. And we will start with the library trainings. So, to introduce resource persons for the first session training. And I give you Dr. So in a few minutes, you will be face-to-face with the resource person for the library training, and she will tell you what she will cover. And she is somebody you have met in the past, and somebody whose presentation some of you who have been part of us have listened to. So permit me to present Dr. Scholar Former. Please, like old time's sake, you need to applaud her. Maybe that's why she has not appeared. If you clap, you will see Dr. Scholar. She's put, I see an overflow of the applaud. That's good. It's good. Thank you. Keep it coming. Yes, thank you. She's got a lot to offer you, and she will be using slides just like the one you listened to. And so Dr. Koma will be with you in a minute. Okay. I want to believe that you got value from what was presented and that you have made notes. I want to believe that you are now prepared to face 21st century approach to research. Okay. She is still aligning her slides for the presentation, and she'll be with you soon. Yeah. Yeah, the applaud is still coming, and we appreciate that you're thanking us. Yeah, I see from your charts that you really appreciated the presentation by Professor Mweke. Yeah. You may also take this opportunity to take the break we denied you. Just stretch, don't go away, because the training is ready and will come your way any minute. This is day one of the 3-day pack of our presentations. Okay. We are dealing with system malfunction, and we'll fix it. We have the hands here. So don't go away. You may want to just get up and stretch, and we'll deal with you. Yeah, I see the charts. Appreciating what was presented. I have seen comments that are quite encouraging, nice presentations and all that. Now you can see we are ready for this presentation by Dr. Scholar Former. Yeah, I told you we have capable hands to deal with whatever eventualities that tumble up on us. And right now we are ready to meet you with that presentation, which you can see on your screen, access to electronic resources and use of Turnitin or Turnitin for similarity check, a vehicle for expanding the frontiers of academic integrity. And the presenter is Dr. Scholar C. Ukoma of the Nnamdi Azikiwe Library of the University of Nigeria. And you can see she is generous enough to let you have her email address in case you wanted to follow up on her after the presentation. So that's why I also advised earlier that you should keep your pen and paper ready so that if you see anything that you need to leverage on it, very quickly grab it. These opportunities don't come all the time. Yeah, you're asking how you get the soft copies of the presentations. That shouldn't bother you. It will come. We promised you that and we will not go back on our promises. Now we are almost ready to give you the first leg of the training on library, the use of electronic library. And again, the topic is access to electronic resources and use of Turnitin for similarity check, a vehicle for expanding the frontiers of academic integrity. And we are ready as we give you the training. Now we introduce the trainer. Let us meet and greet Dr. Scholastica Informer.
Thank you, moderator. Good morning, students. Permit me to stand on already established protocol. Having listened to the keynote address, I believe it just threw more light on what we're going to do from the library perspective. Because ours is now to direct you, to help you get some of these materials, these resources that will help you to do proper research, good research work, so that tomorrow you stay on up and say, I did this work, not just copying other people's work. And like you've heard from the keynote presenter, that you need to reference. Don't just copy ideas. Research is like building on people's work. Then from there, you now create a gap, which your study will fill at the end of the day. You won't come up and say that your own idea is original, nobody has done anything or thereabout. No, you read what others have written, and then from there, you now build up your own idea. So in this presentation, we just looked at the intro. We're going to look at the introduction, where we look at the electronic resources, the open and the secured resources we have. Then we'll also see how we can perform searching for literature online, how we can modify our search so as to limit our results. Because you know, when you search online, you retrieve a lot of materials, both those that are relevant and those that are irrelevant. So you have to know how you can do that in order to save your time and also retrieve relevant materials. They will also show you how to create Google Alerts. This will help you keep track of information in your research area, your subject area, so that the whole thing, it will harness the whole information, the whole article in one bus, in your mailbox for you. It's not left for you to check through, know the ones you need and those you can access. Then when we are done with that, we'll also look at Turnitin for similarity check. You know, a lot of materials we use these days, they're online. So the issue of copy and paste, if you have been doing that, you know that you won't get it easy, you won't get through easy this time around. Because with this system, with this software, your supervisor will now notice where you copied other people's work without proper acknowledgement. So we'll now look at how we use this Turnitin to do our research and also help us improve on what we're writing. So at the end of this presentation, it's expected that a student should be able to identify the online resources we have in the Azikiwe library. Then the strategies to adopt in searching for information resources, and also know how to analyze their Turnitin reports. Because it's also a challenge. Most times, some of you will come in to check their work. At the end of the day, you tell them what they're supposed to do. Then maybe some of them get frightened that that's the end of the road. No, but when you know how to analyze it, you know what you're supposed to do to improve on what you have done, and then you move forward. And that is why most times many of you run into the risk of going to anybody you see, maybe to beat. You cannot beat your lecturers because the lecturer is in that field and he knows a lot of materials or writers in that area. So it's better you do the proper thing. Don't cut corners and don't be in a hurry to outsmart anybody. No, do the right thing and you go ahead with your work. So access to information is important in carrying out our research. For us to do a proper research, we need information resources. And there is a saying that if you have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. And these giants, you know, there are people, there are researchers in that area. Like we heard earlier, that people have written a lot in your area. All you need to do is to search for these materials. Don't just sit down in your hostel and say, there's no material in this area. I can't find anything. Because you have not made effort or you don't know the appropriate sources to search through. But when you know all these things, you find out that you have a lot of information to contend with. You get more than required. So it is important that we know how to get to the shoulders of these giants through their works. These works can be in print formats or electronic formats. But our focus in this discussion is on electronic resources because of its inherent advantages. As a postgraduate student, you are expected to use the university library. It's unfortunate that most of our students don't even go to the library. They don't even care to know whether they have materials available for them to use. It's not a good practice. You need to make use of the library. The library is there for you. All you need to do is just to register as a student of the university, get your library card. You can come there. Even you have reading spaces, areas you can stay, do your reading, get materials, print materials if you want, or electronic resources. Because most of these resources, when we subscribe to them, many of them, they're IP-based. That means you need to be within the university environment or internet range for you to access them. That is why sometimes many of you will access with their modem from home. The system will see them as external users, will not grant them access. But when you come to the library, you find out that these facilities are available there for you. And it will also help you to complete your program within the stipulated period because you know what you're looking for and you get the materials you need for your work. We have different sources of information, different types. We have the primary sources, we have the secondary, and we have the tertiary sources. Under the tertiary sources, we have the encyclopedias, the bibliographies, the indexes that will guide you to the main information content. Most times, our students don't make use of these resources. But when you come to the library, these materials, the encyclopedia, the bibliographies, they're available in the reference section. So we'll have the online encyclopedia too, where you can get this, some of these materials. We also have our textbooks arranged by subjects using their core number, class mark. You can retrieve them from the shelves depending on your subject area or your discipline. Then we also have the other sources of information, the interviews, original experiments, which you can get from maybe like this is submitted by students, your fellow students that graduated before you, some of the data they collected, they used in their research. We have sessions for that where you can get this material. But good and thin, some of these theses, they're available online. So I will also show you the sites where you can get them. So these are relevant sources you can consult as a researcher in writing your research work. And it's important that you know where to access these information resources and the materials you need. Also, in accessing these resources, we have different access tools. We have the catalog cards. They're also available in the library. We'll give you record of the collections in the library. Most times it's important to go through the catalog card to know whether the material you're looking for is available at the library. Though we'll have the online version of it, they are opaque. When you come into the library, there are systems there after the porter's desk. But with those systems, you can access, check for the materials you want, or either by subject or by author, and then retrieve them. Then we also have the databases, our institutional repositories, then indexes, like I said, in the reference section. Then you can also use search engines to do search, like Google search engine is also very good for you to retrieve materials online. So electronic resources, they are the resources that are available. You can access them online via the internet. Some of them are free, while some need authentication. The free ones are those you can access without username or password or any IP. While the restricted ones are those you need to put in your password and username, or it may be based on the IP of the university, so that when you're within the university internet range, you can access these materials. So, but don't overlook the open access resources saying maybe they are not useful. No, many of them, they are very, very useful. That they are open or free does not make them not to be useful. Somebody out there has paid for it, so as to make information available for you. So these materials, they have their inherent advantages. You can easily access them anytime, any day. These are online resources. You don't need to come to the library once you have your internet access, unless those that are maybe the IP based. That's the ones you need to be within the university environment. But if not, even when you travel out, you can also access some of these materials. And the issue of maybe the number of persons that can use it at a time, as many as possible can use one particular document. So there is no physical boundary. And also many of them are user-friendly. You can easily navigate, search for the materials you want, either by subject, by title. You can refine your results, limit your search, either by dates, depending on the parameter you want to use. So basic guidelines in internet search. When you're doing an internet search, you need to narrow your search topic before you log in. Because the reason being that what you'll have in mind that they use in indexing that database may not be what is available. So that is why you need to be conversant with your subject area, so as to narrow your topic down. With that, you'll be able to retrieve materials. And you can even use maybe more than one or two search terms when you're doing your search, so that you don't just say, okay, I use this particular word, I didn't get anything. No, use similar words or related terms. That will also help you to retrieve relevant or related materials too. Then you also know your subject directories and search engines. Most times, I know some researchers, it's easy for them to navigate to Yahoo. I don't know the kind of information you get from that kind of search engine. It's better you use some of these, those ones that are educationally related, that will help you get materials that are useful. Instead of looking for news, adverts, and some of these news, some of them might be fake, and it's not something you use for research work. So keep detailed records of the sites you use. It's very, very important, because when you download materials or visit some sites, you may lose track of the sites you use. Then when you're doing your references, you find out that that would be a big problem for you. So like in one of our presentations, you also be put through how you can manage your references. It's very, very important, especially with online materials. When you download them, you're so happy you got a lot of materials, you'll be carried away. But at the end of it, or when you finish your work, you find out that there are some sources you consulted, can't even trace the author. And that's why you see some people, instead of them to make effort to look for the author of that particular work, they remove the author's name, maybe claim that it's their own idea. And at the end of it, you find out that you have plagiarized somebody without acknowledging the person, which is also wrong in academic work. So we need to be careful with all these things, follow the processes step by step. Let us not be in a hurry to meet any of them, so as to achieve a very good result at the end of our work. Also double check all URLs that you put in your paper, because the tendency that you put a wrong URL will take you to another article, which is not what you use, and it will create a lot of confusion for you. So also when we are searching, we need to be careful. Know the authority, the work you're citing, the work you're using is very, very important. Do not rely exclusively on everything you see online. You know what is happening online these days, especially when you look at WhatsApp, social media, a lot of things, fake news. You don't know which one to rely on. So likewise, when we're searching for materials, that's why it's important to make use of the databases available. There are so many of them, and we need to consult and search through them to get the materials, the right materials we need. Then the objectivity of the work. Is there any political undertone? Is that work informing or is persuasive? So it's not anything that will search through the search engines, through Google, Yahoo, or whatever. We download, we start referencing, because there are certain information you cite in your work, and your supervisor will ask you the authenticity of that particular work. Where did you get this information? How correct is it? So we need to be careful. We also need to look out for peer-reviewed works. At this stage, you don't base your research work on opinion. Look for peer-reviewed articles, either from literature online or from journals, print journals, so that when you cite, when you write such articles, such works, you cite the author, and that will give credit to your work, unlike using opinion or maybe views from people that are not authenticated. You can't authenticate them. Then the coverage of that particular materials you're using, the information, the depth of the information is also important. You need to look out for that. And that is why we always advise students to make use of the online databases like I mentioned earlier. At least you're very sure of the materials you're getting and their sources, because the journals that publish them, you get their detailed citation or their bibliographies, they're all there available so that you can make reference to them anytime. Then the currency of the sites, how updated is the publication? Is it up to date? When was the last time that website was updated? There are some sites you find out that there maybe the last time were 2 years or 3 years ago. So the information may not be current. And for so many of the areas, some of our subject areas, we find out that we need current information. You can't just maybe something that happened 3 years ago, you now say that is still what is happening now. So there's been a change within that period. So we need to look out for current materials. When we are doing a search too, there are some operatives we can use that will help us either to limit the results we get from our research or to expand the results. Like when we use AND to combine two different concepts, it requires that the both terms should be in the record. Like assuming you use maybe pet and dog, or pet and cat and dog, we find out that all the results you get the two terms, cat and dog, will appear there. So it will reduce the amount of results you find, so that any result that you're retrieving without those two concepts will not come up. But when you use or, you find out that it will increase the record you get at the end of it all, because it says either this or this, and it takes care of synonyms. So we have to be very careful what we want to retrieve and then use the command we want to give, because the system, as you know, is garbage in, garbage out. The instruction you give also determine the results you get. If you give a good instruction, you find out you get a good result. So we have to be careful. And then the use of and, use when the same keyword has different meanings, excludes concept from the results. So you specify that you want cat, not pet, or maybe you want dog, not pet, or depending on what you want to search for. So another way to get material or to limit your result is also to carry out advanced search. In advanced search, you specify exactly the type of information you want to retrieve. Like some of these databases, you find out that they have their own templates, the fields you need to complete. Most of them will ask you to provide the title, the author, the year, the pagination. With that, it will retrieve the exact material you want. Most times, you can also have, like when you do advanced Google search, you have a form you fill, a template. You select the areas you want to limit your search. You put in the subject. You can select the year, the language you want the information to appear. The information you retrieve will appear, either English language or French, depending on your area. Then the site, you also want the system to search for you. Because when you're searching, you find out that for academic sites, they make use of AC, NG, then Nigeria, then commercialc.com. So if you're looking for research materials, you don't need to go to commercial sites. But if you're searching for maybe any information that has to do with commercial or advertisement, then you know which site to visit. It all depends on the type of information you want. Then you now select the site. Maybe if time permits, we may do some of these practicals so that you observe them and know how to make use of them. This is an example of a search interface. This is Directory of Open Access Journal. It's an open access database. You have materials from different subject areas. This is just a simple search. You can use either keywords or you use title. Likewise, other databases or other sites, they have this kind of interface. You just enter the title of the material of the subject you want to search for. Maybe assuming you're searching for politics in Nigeria, you just enter it and select title, then say search in all the fields, click search. The system will search through the database. Anywhere it sees any information or any caption, the title with politics in Nigeria, the system will retrieve it. So it's now left for you, the researcher, if you want to limit your search, maybe assuming you retrieved 1 million or 3 million, depending, you can limit your search maybe by dates, searching for current materials, or you can limit it by the sites you want materials to come from. So these are some of the ways, some of the strategies you can adopt during your search. So this is an example of advanced Google search, like I told you earlier. You can also retrieve materials from Google sites when you use Google search. Here, you're expected to enter all these words, enter the words you want the system to search, or you can use exact word or phrase, or any of these words, depending on the instruction you want to give to the system. Like I said earlier, is garbage in, garbage out. The instruction you give to the system is what is going to carry out. So once it carries out that instruction, it will give you the results, and the result depends on the instruction. So if you want any of these words, you use this, which means any of the words you've typed will appear. Well, even if it's off, it will come up. So in that case, you know you're going to get a lot of materials, both those that are relevant and those that are not relevant. Then here you select the language. Once you click on this drop-down button, the languages will appear. If you want French, if you want English, Italian, depending, you select. Then any region, you can limit your search by region. Maybe if you want to limit it to Africa or Nigeria, you select. Then anytime, how current do you want the materials? Then anywhere on the page, then any format. You try and select PDF. When you click on this drop-down button, all the formats will come out, whether you want a PowerPoint presentation or a MS Word document. But it's better you select PDF because most of the research articles will appear because they normally appear in PDF formats. So once you do that, you now click on your search. The system will search and then retrieve the result for you. Then you now check through and load the ones you need. Either you save them on your desktop or you save them on your reference management tool, and for your, then when you want to use them, you can consult them and read through. And it's important you read through these materials when you download them. Don't just download and do copy and paste. Then this is an example of it, how to modify your search. I did a search using a Directory of Open Access Journal database. Then it says refine your search results. Here we have different subject areas. We have agriculture, geography, library and information science, depending on your discipline or your subject area. Assuming you're in agriculture, all you need to do is just check this box. When you check this box, the system will refine and bring out only materials related to agriculture. If you want them to be from journals, maybe there's a particular journal you want to use, you just select the journal because you have some titles here. Then if you also want to refine by dates, down here you find out year of publication. So we have from 2022 downwards. Then depending on the year you want your results to be, you select, just check the box, this box is here. When you check them, you find out that the system will refine and bring out materials that are within that range. So likewise, other databases, that is how you modify your search. Even in advanced Google search, we also have some of these features. You can also use them to modify your search. So you can select the year, the range you want your results to appear. Okay, so this is another good way you can keep track of materials in your subject area. Like, you know, materials that are published every second. You see new materials coming up. So, and as a researcher, maybe you want to keep track of those relevant materials in your subject area. You can just create a Google alert. What this does is just to help you keep track of the materials, or even the system on its own can also search for other materials related to your subject area because you've already created that alert with Google. So it's now left for Google to do the search and send to your mail. It's very easy, it's not difficult. All you need to do is just go to the Google page, click on Google Scholar, and then by the side of it here, you find out you have my profile, my library, alerts. Just click on alerts, it will give you a form to fill. Because already you need to have a Gmail account, which you use and sign in to create the account. So it's in that mail that alert will be coming in every day. So all you need to do, maybe on daily basis or maybe once in a week, depending, you check through your mail, select the ones you need, and then delete some so that you give room for you to check through new ones as they come in. So once you finish setting up your alert, you just click on create alert. You're done with it. You just go and rest. From time to time, you go to your inbox and check whether you have materials. So what you're seeing here is the university website, UNN. I hope we are all familiar with that site. When you get to the university homepage, the website homepage, you find out that you have sub-menus. Under it, you have libraries as one of them there. Then all you need to do is to go to click on libraries, brings down the other sub-menus. Just go to online resources, click on it. When you click on online resources, you find out that you get the materials available, the databases available. You can access from the UNN websites. Some of them will subscribe to many of them, and many of them are also open access. So when you search through them, you'll be able to retrieve materials. For these ones that are IP-based, that means you need to be within the university internet range, not your data. Because if you're using it, it will see you as an external user. But once you're within the UNN internet, you can access it and download whatever materials you want to download from it. Then for the open access, you can do that one. You can do the search anywhere you are. Then there are some that also need password. That one, you need to get a password from the library so that you can also use it and do your search and retrieve materials. Then another thing on this homepage is also the institutional repository, like I told you. It's a database of thesis and dissertation of students that graduated from University of Nigeria, Nsukka. So this repository is very, very helpful. As a researcher, some of you might still be battling with maybe topic areas to research on. You can feel free, go to the site, depending on your discipline. We arrange them department by department. So you search through, go through the projects there, read through them, see what other people, the areas they've covered. You can also get areas for further research from that, from those theses. But please, it is not for you to copy and submit to your supervisor. You don't do that. It's just to help guide you so that you read through it and learn from what others did. If there are areas you need to pick, you can pick from there, and then also acknowledge those the work. If not, you can learn one or two things, either the methodology or even areas for further research, and also the theories or whatever they used in the work that might interest you. So it's just for you to learn and pick the information you need, not for you to copy and maybe just remove the cover and bind and submit. Please don't do that. So in kind of a caution or advice, you say you must develop the habit of reading through articles we downloaded for our research work to ensure we produce original ones. It's very, very important. All these materials, all these databases, they are to help us do a good job. It's not just for us to do copy and paste. And it's also helpful for you to print out the materials you want to use if you have the resources. But if you don't have the resources, you make out time, read through them. That they are in soft copy is not a criteria, it's not a license for you to just open the pages and just be copying and pasting, no. Because that's where you end up copying other people's work, most times without even acknowledging. And at the end of the day, when you turn your work for similarity check, you find out that the percentage will be very high. So you read through the materials, you can read through them online, make notes as you read through, then ensure you acknowledge the authors or the sources you cited in your work. Even if you did not copy the authors verbatim, and you use his or idea, please ensure you acknowledge the source. It's not your own idea, so that other people will also acknowledge your own work when you bring them out. So that brings us to the end of access to online resources. you take questions before practicals? Okay, permit me to check if we have internet access. Maybe we'll go to the university site and if you have any question, just feel free to ask while I check through for internet access and then see if we can do 1 or 2 practicals from what we just discussed. If you have any question, just raise up your hand and ask your question.
I have to stop this.
Don't worry. Anybody for question? Let's check. Okay, so if there is no question, let's do 1 or 2 practicals. Let's share this one. I want to share this. Share this. This one, let me show them how to press that. Share. Oh, that's the slides you just will make it available to them. I think it should be on. It's online.
You should.
So no question from the students. Sorry, we're trying to get the internet for the practical session.
Should be just the practical, right?
Yeah, but the presentation, I'll come back here.
Yes, by the time you are done now.
Next 1 hour should be done. It's not sharing. Okay, so this is a Google homepage for us to set up our Google Alerts. Just type Scholar, that's Google Scholar, because it's from Google Scholar that you set alert. And I don't know how many of you have a Google account. Google Scholar, have created Google Scholar account. It's also very good for you at this stage. As a researcher, you need to have a Google Scholar account. It's very easy. All you need to do is to have your Gmail account. With it, you set it up so that it will keep statistics of the citations of your work. You know how your work, the metrics, how your work is getting attention from the public, how they are using your work. So to create the alerts, I said you come here. Once you click here, you see where my cursor is. If you want to set up your profile, assuming you don't have a Google account, like I said earlier, you click on my profile. It will prompt you to fill the page, provide all your details. Already somebody signed in here, because before you get to this page, you're supposed to sign in with your Gmail account. So that once you sign in, the system captures that email. And from here, you start to set up your account. You set up your subject area of specialization homepage, and you click next, move on. So, but I won't create that with this email. You can do that, it's very easy. For the Google Alerts, which you want to set up, all you need to do is just click on this alert. When you click on it, alert for ICT Zoom 1, that's the email address, the Gmail I use in signing in. So what I'll do is I will say create alerts. And then it will not ask me about, create an alert about, that's the subject area. Assuming I'm writing on maybe politics in Nigeria, or maybe national instability. So I will type it here. After typing it, I'll just click on create alerts, and the alert is set up. So anytime there is any material on this particular subject, it comes into this, my email. And from time to time, I will check through the email and select the relevant materials I need. So that is about creating Google Alerts. Like I said, Google Scholar account is also very easy. It's for your own good, because at this stage of your research work, I know many of you have published more than 3 or 4 or 5 articles, and people are using it out there. So once you set up that account, it will also help you to check your H index, which is also very good. So as a researcher, you need to know your H index and see how your research work are performing out there. So you can do that one at your own time, or even it doesn't take time, very easy. So I'll just show you the university websites. Like I said, the materials will have, the databases will have online. The website, is it having an issue?
I think it's the network.
Sure. The traffic. Ah. Yeah. So it's very easy. Once you go to the university homepage, like I said, click on libraries. When you click there, you see the online resources. Just click on online resources, it takes you to the page where you have these materials. And then from there, you can search through. There are so many of them. We have the Z Library, we have the Dwaj, we have the Science Direct. You can still get materials from Science Direct. We have the Research for Life. So many of them, Agora, Hinari, Uari, Audi. So these are all relevant databases you can use that will help you get materials for your research work. So that's about the databases. One good thing is when you know how to navigate one like we have done, you find out that it's easy for you to navigate the others. It's user-friendly. So I would like us to look at Turnitin. If you have any questions, just jot down your questions. I'll take all of them at once. So Turnitin, like I said, is a tool to check the originality of research works of students and academics. Like some people see it as a problem or this, no, don't just look at it from that perspective. It's just to help you do original work and also to guide you what you have done. So when you finish your work, feel free to check the similarity of your work, even your article, because earlier before now, you find out that you send your work, people will not, but right now, just 2 weeks ago, somebody reported that they returned his work, that the similarity is very high. And when I checked that work, it's just like 46%. So you can imagine that just because of similarity, they rejected the work. So just form the habit of writing and checking your work. And one good thing is with this is when you start writing and you have a lot of literature, you do a thorough literature review. Just paraphrase, don't just copy people from page to page. You find out that when you finish your work, most times you may not even bother checking because you know that you did original work. But when you have problem is when you get a particular article or material, you copy a whole page, 2 pages from one particular work. You find out that it's too much. So, but learn to paraphrase and then acknowledge the author or the owner of the work. So this tool helps us to stay away from plagiarism. Many universities in the world have adopted it to ensure academic integrity in their institutions and to ensure researchers write original works. Many universities, even supervisors, before you submit your work, maybe chapter 1 or chapter 2, they will ask you to give them the proof to show the percentage of your similarity before they will proceed. So we need to be careful how we copy other people's work. Form the habit of reading through the work and then paraphrase and acknowledge the author or the work you use. So the purpose of this Turnitin, students are accountable for what they submit. It's also to check the similarity of text to sources. Because like I will show you, what the system does is to match your work with sources that are online, that have used that material before. Even if maybe like University of Nigeria and Soccer, it will still highlight it and then show you the areas that name have been used. So it's not left for your supervisor to determine whether you plagiarize or not. The system is there to guide, to point out these similarities. So it's to help to improve teaching and learning, and then to guide against misuse of online resources in research writing. You know, when we are using print materials, we don't have this challenge so much. It's difficult for you to maybe sit down and start copying a whole 1 page of a journal article. But with online facilities, you find out that it's easy for you just to highlight a whole page, copy and paste without even wasting time. So that is why some of these systems are also put in place to help us use these online resources very well. Then when you're checking materials in this system, there are some formats your work should be in. The system checks words that are MS Word, WordPerfect, Postscript, PDF, HTML. Then the words that are maybe JPEG, picture formats, Turnitin, it's difficult for you to check these formats. So that's why most times we ask you to put your work either in MS Word for us to check through, or even if it's in PDF, no problem. But you must abide by these formats. Then the document size, I know notices will be more than 40 MB, so that one is not a problem. So looking at the similarity index, I know for UNN, we have our own for masters and PhD, like 20% and 25%. So, but when you turn the work, these colors are just there to tell you, to show you the percentage, to differentiate it. Like when it's green, you find out that it's between 1% to 25%. When it's yellow, it's above 25%. That's 26 to 50%. Then orange is 50 to 75%. Red is 76 to 100%. So these are the colors to show you that the different percentages of the ranges. And sometimes you find out that students, when they go, maybe they're trying to cut corners, they go outside and mistakenly somebody archived the work. Once it's archived in a Turnitin repository, if you check it again with another system, you find out that it gives you 100%. And that means that work is already online somewhere, it's already archived. So for you to get the actual percentage, you need to be deleted before you check your work again to get the actual percentage. So this is an example of a work that we checked using the Turnitin. It just to show the overall similarity index is 31%. Then, but the breakdown is very, very important. The individual source index, it has an interpretation. Like if you look at this, you look up, you find out that the first source there is 11%, which is actually high. So assuming you submitted your work, we checked your work for you and you have this particular results, you'll be advised to work on the first, second, and third and fourth sources there. When you paraphrase, you go back and read through what you did. You find out that when you paraphrase, do the writing, the percentage will come down, and then also the overall similarity will also come down. That is how you correct it if maybe you happen to be in this kind of situation. So don't just see it as that's the end of the road. No, you still need to work and improve on it, and you move forward. So this is another example of a work we checked online. It's highlighted, although this is a citation analysis, so these materials are online. So as a supervisor, if I looked at this, I'll find out that this is not actually, you didn't actually plagiarize this one because you just adapted this to do an analysis. So it's just showing something that is online. That was why I said, it's your supervisor that tell you that you plagiarize or not. So that is about that. What the system does is to show similarities wherever they occur. So this is also a report, like I told you earlier, this is 26. Okay, you said that it's okay, but the first, second, and third sources, you still need to work on it. You still need to paraphrase, go back and look at what you did, and then paraphrase and bring it down. Maybe when you work on it, you find out that it will even be less than 25. It may come down to 20, because when you work on the first, second, and third sources there, you find out that it will really come down. So these are some of the things we do, maybe the course of our research work. And that is why we need to be very, very careful when we are writing. Because if you do a thorough literature search, you have a lot of materials to use. You read a lot through a lot of sources available. You find out that you may not even have this problem of copying the whole page, the whole document up to 10 pages, up to 10%, sorry. But when we normally have this problem is when we fail to do the writing. By doing a thorough literature search, read through materials, read through what others have done in your area. That will give you an idea and also a focus in your work. But most times we fail to do that. You just get hold of maybe one or two sources or three, and we copy everything from these 2 or 3 sources. At the end of the day, you find out that the similarity will be too high, and you'll be asked to go and rework your projects. And that's why many of you, when they find themselves in that situation, they keep running up and down looking for how to maneuver and to scale through and get scheduled for their presentation. We need to start early and start very well. So that is why literature search and reading through the literature we search is very, very important. So we need to do that. So as a kind of conclusion, research, I saw this definition and I so much like it. It says an honest attempt to study a problem systematically to add to man's knowledge of the problem. So this is a question we need to ask ourselves, whether we are doing what we are doing in our research work is an honest attempt or it's not. So it's a question we ask ourselves and answer it ourselves because we know what we are doing. So research is important in solving societal problems and for national development. In order to remain relevant in our various disciplines, we need to write and publish. And let us make sure that what we are writing is original and it's our own work, which we can stand up anytime, any day to claim. Because what we publish today speaks volumes about us tomorrow. Don't just say you are doing this program for you to just get your degree. No, it's beyond that, because tomorrow you pick up that work, people will acknowledge you and you also make reference to it. So let us do a thorough work, start on time, do the necessary things we're supposed to do, and you find out that you complete your work within the record time. But if we wait to do it, maybe waiting for the last minute to start and complete the work, that is where we'll have a problem. And by that time, we'll find ourselves in a corner trying to maneuver and see how we can get through, which is not good. So that brings us to the end of our presentation on Turnitin and similarity check. It's now question time and comments. If you have any, feel free to ask questions so that we can look at it with the remaining time we have. So thank you, and then ask your questions. Check their hands up. Do you have questions? Thank you so much. Any questions before we move to the next presentation? Up. Unshare. Okay, let me unshare. No, just call one person. Let them send the question.
they cannot mute. That's it. So you can do act of mute based on those are linked. Yeah, act of mute.
Okay, the first person, Chioma Ilonze, you have a question? If you have a question, unmute yourself and ask your question. Chioma Ilonze.
I'm not sure she's aware that she is.
All of them are
Yes,
before the things are increased. So they can just make use of the. How can one activate on the tip on his phone?
Okay. As a student, we don't allow you to have a personal account. You can get your work checked either through your PG rep, your departmental PG reps, or you come to the library. We'll do it for you. Yeah, for Turnitin.
This what do I mean? I went online to apply for competition.
Well, we are talking of.
Okay. Someone asked me.
Let me get the question. Okay, the ask that one uses. Okay, wait.
The other plagiarized
Address. So I want to look at this question. This one. And setting alerts for over the ask. Okay, that's one uses his institution email. Yes, when you're setting accounts on Google Scholar for your Google profile, use your institution email. Like a student of UNN, I believe you have your student's email address. If you don't have any, just go to ICT and activate it. It's very good. So that you enter it and use your affiliation. If you're a student of UNN, you can use UNN. Unless you have somewhere else you're working, maybe an institution you're working with, you can use the email.
this one that was.
Actually, I'm used to Turnitin for checking similarity. But then when you use Grammarly, like people that have used it, more or less on grammar, that it doesn't give a detailed analysis like Turnitin. So Turnitin is more robust when you check your work similarity, because it gives you details of the sources, the similarity, the sources that are similar to what you have used. So it matches the sources with your work. That's why many people prefer Turnitin, but some also use the others like Grammarly, like iTenticket. They're also used by some other people. Depends on your choice. Documents from, like many departments, they don't even allow you to cite Wikipedia. I know of that in some departments because most of the articles there, they are not acceptable, because some of them, they are written people's opinion without literature backing them or sources being consulted. So if your department allows you to use Wikipedia, maybe you then cite the Wikipedia strip, but it's not allowed. Many departments and even some articles, they may refer you, maybe ask you to use literature work, reviewed works, not Wikipedia. Though there are some exercise projects on trying to edit Wikipedia to make some of the articles there be of standard, putting sources, citing sources, and all the rest of them. So maybe till they are through with that project, maybe some people or some departments may not consider using it for academic work.
What can we get it from?
Like I said earlier, as a student, if you need to check your work, please, you can come to the library. We'll help you do it. Then your PG reps, each departments, their PG reps, they have accounts, so they can also help you to check the preliminary ones before the final submission to PG school. At that stage, you must be checked. You must bring it to the library for us to check and make sure that you did the right thing.
What do you mean by H index?
H index is calculated in Google Scholar. It shows the visibility, the impact your write-ups are making in the public domain. So when you publish your article and they are online, if anybody cites your article, it adds to your H index. So it's being calculated based on the citation within the year. So that is why you need to make your works available online. So the more people cite your work, the more visible you are, also the more impact your work is. Somebody is asking if there is alternative to Turnitin. Why not make use of the one that you have? There are some other ones. You have Citing, like I said, you have Grammarly. It all depends on what you have, or what you want. But what we have here in UNN is Turnitin, and I think it's good enough to give you what you want.
Someone said yeah, she sent email. They bounced back.
So what? Which
Your-
one?
Your mail.
Maybe you didn't get it right. That's my university email address, so I don't think. Check whether you typed it very well. Yeah, somebody said some scientific notions or formulas are generic. How do you change it if it's highlighted by Turnitin? I told you that what Turnitin does is to match similarities where they occur. It's not left for your supervisor to say that you plagiarize or not. It's at that point that your supervisor will analyze. So some of those formulas, you don't need to change them. It's been used and used and used and used. Definitely the system will highlight it. Don't bother yourself, just do the right thing. We'll tell you where you plagiarized or not, whether you plagiarized or not. Somebody said, want to know if one has to remove the list of references. You don't need to remove them, just leave your references. When you submit the whole work. We'll do the check and then give you the results. You said what? There's a question you raised.
How can I also get the university email?
Please go to ICT, Data Center, ICT at the library. They will create an account, the email address for you. I think you need to go with your school fees receipt also. I'm not sure, but when you go there, they will tell you the requirements. Do I get? How can we write the topics we choose? Is it necessary to write a letter of the background to the topics? That is with your supervisor. Definitely you need to write background for your supervisor to know what you want to research or what you have in mind at the back of your mind. Somebody said, what's the relationship between similarity index and originality?
No.
Actually, when you write your work, originality comes in with your own ideas. When you write, you present maybe you read other people's work, come up with put them in your own words without really copying them verbatim. You need to make your own idea. You need to make your own inputs. Not just saying according to Njoku 2002, according to the 2000, you just quoted all the sources. At the end of the day, what did you say about that particular topic? What's your own contribution? What's your comment? What's your contribution? You need to make your own inputs. Then the similarity index shows you, matches what the other people's work you use. It matches what is online with what you have written. So that anywhere that particular, like I gave you an instance, like University of Nigeria Nsukka. So many people have used that particular word, but this system will show you where they have been used and who used it. That's the sources. So it will match it. At the end of the day, it will show you the percentage of the similarity, or the areas the system discovered that particular subject or the quotation or the citation has been used. So that is what it does. That's about that similarity index. That's why you have that 30, 60, 20, dependent. Somebody says, how do we make a reference of the materials gotten from thesis or project works? You need to cite them depending on the citation method you're using. Like we'll see in the next presentation, reference management. The different citation styles, they have their own method of citing the materials. So, but at the end of the day, you need to cite them as unpublished materials. So you need to write the author, the title, the department, that's the owner of that's the publisher. That's the department is submitted to. And then write that's at the end of the day, you need to indicate that it's an unpublished work because it's not yet published. Somebody says, can one set up more than a field of study like for politics and COVID at once or separately? Just set them up separately. Just set as many alerts as possible. You can create up to 5 or 6 depending on what you want. But it must be separate. You must be, because you find out that those subjects, they are different subject areas. So you create different alerts for them. Okay. Thank you so much for your questions and listening. And I hope that you will make use of all this information you got getting today, not just to listen and at the end of the day, that answer is no. And I will advise you to start, if you have not started, just start now. Start on time. If you like, you can download the materials, go to these databases you have explained to you today, read through them and download the materials you need, and then save them. So you listen to the next presentation, know how you can save these materials so that you keep track of them. When you start writing, your writing will be very, very easy for you if you have materials. It's just like somebody that wants to build a house. You have all the materials you need, the block, the cement. Once you start building, very fast and very easy. Unlike a situation when you need water, you start running up and down to look for where to get water. The point is, it becomes so boring and tiring. You may even decide to abandon it. But once you get the materials ready, it's very, very easy and interesting to do the research work. So once again, I want to say thank you for your time and your patience, and I implore you to listen to the next present. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so very much. And thank you for applauding our presenter. I'd like us to know how important these workshops are, because it has attracted the presence of our immediate past Vice Chancellor, Professor Benjamin Chukwuma Ozumba. Daddy, you're welcome. We appreciate your presence. Aha. See him waving. You can unmute now. You can unmute and talk to us. You can unmute. I'm just prompting you to unmute. Okay. So thank you, sir. You see, it's not as if he has anything, so to speak, to lose or gain from being here. But this is the spirit. This is a program he started, and he is following, ensuring that's so we're just highlighting our immediate past Vice Chancellor. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you so very much for being here. You would have spent your time doing other things, but you found this important. So you joined and you've been here since. Thank you very much, sir. Okay. So thank you. We will go to the next presentation, and that's another training on use of library. This time around, we will move over to the presentation of Dr. Emmanuel Ihekweaba. Dr. Ihekweaba will take us on the second training session on the use of library as we continue our training in these workshops lined up for today, tomorrow, and Thursday. And so far, we've knocked off the first training session. Earlier, we have had the keynote address presented, and we have had the speeches, that of the Dean of PG School and that of the Vice Chancellor. And now into the training sessions, we welcome Dr. Emmanuel Ihekweaba. Like you have done in the past, please applaud him electronically. Thank you very much.
Okay. Good morning, students and participants in this PGC workshop. I'm here this morning to present this package titled Reference Management Tools in the Digital Era, Introduction to Mendeley. Now, the essence of this presentation is to teach you how you can cite sources that are related to what your present write-up. You know, at this level, when you are writing, you have to cite sources that have done something in the past that are related to what you are doing to give your work credibility. You can't write just like you write in primary school, maybe write an essay about your family or yourself. At this stage, you have to cite sources to support what you are writing presently. So this morning, I'm going to introduce you to Mendeley. Specifically, I'm going to tell you what Mendeley is. I'm going to show you how to create Mendeley accounts, how to download Mendeley desktop, how to install Mendeley desktop, how to configure Mendeley, build your library, manage the documents in your library, and of course, you will need to use it to do your citation as in-text citation, and finally, generate the bibliography. The goal of this presentation is that we want the participants to be able to know what Mendeley Reference Manager is all about. And at the end of the day, participants will be able to use Mendeley Reference Manager to reference their write-ups. Now, what is Mendeley? Mendeley is a free academic software. Mendeley is a free academic software used to manage, annotate, and cite your research paper. In fact, Mendeley is a reference manager. What we mean by this is that Mendeley will help you to do your referencing. There are a lot of styles in referencing. There's no how, no matter, even if you're I don't know what type of brain I would say you have, to be able to know it all. It will interest you to know that there are a lot of citation styles. So Mendeley is there to do it all for you. Whether it is Harvard, whether it is MLS, whether it's IEEE, whether it's Chicago, whether it is APA, you don't need to worry about that. Mendeley is there to do all that for you. Now, let me give you a brief background about Mendeley. Mendeley was originally developed in London. Okay. Sorry for the break in transmission. Like I said, I'm giving you a brief background about Mendeley. Mendeley was originally developed by over 30 researchers in London in 2008, supported by the organizations you can see on your screen: University of Cambridge, Imperial College London, University of Southampton, and all the other organizations you can see. But today, Mendeley is owned by Elsevier since 2013. They bought it over in 2013. Now, what are the things you can do with Mendeley? One of the things you can do with Mendeley is to add and organize your documents. When you download materials in your system, most times you discover that these materials are encoded numbers. You can't even understand what those numbers are. But Mendeley will help you to decode what those numbers are, or what, encrypted codes that they are, so that you'll be able to add and organize what you have in your system. Then Mendeley can also help you to back up and sync your resources. You don't need to carry your system. In fact, if you want to travel somewhere that is remote from where you're staying, you mustn't carry your system to be able to know or to be able to use the materials that you have in your system. So Mendeley will help you be able to access the materials that you have for whatever write-up that you are undertaking. And finally, Mendeley, as a reference manager, will help you generate citations and bibliography in your write-up. Now, for you to start using Mendeley, there are things that you have to do, or things that there are steps that you must take. One of the steps is to create a Mendeley web account. Mendeley web account. This you can do by visiting www.mendeley.com. When you visit www.mendeley.com, you will create a free web account. Here you'll be required to fill your email, your first name, your last name, your password, then state your field of study, your academic status, then enter your current institution, save, and the account, your Mendeley web account to be created. As you are looking there, you are seeing the interface of the Mendeley web account. This is what you must do before you move on to the next step, which is downloading the Mendeley desktop applications. Now, something happened recently. Mendeley wants to be solely online. They're doing it gradually. At a point, they want some of us that have been following them for a long time, that they want to now go online. The implication is that you can only use Mendeley online if you don't have their desktop software. So, but it's good news that as we speak now, even though you cannot download the software that can run offline, I still have it in my archive. So I'll find a way to make it available to you. Otherwise, you must be online to use Mendeley desktop. You must be online. So you know the implication. Sometimes you find yourself in remote places and still you need to work. And you will not be able to work because you don't have internet access. Okay, so step 2 is to download the Mendeley desktop. Like I said, I will find a way to make it available. The software that can run offline, I'll find a way to make it available to you. Otherwise, you can download the one that will ensure that if you are not online, you cannot use it. Okay, the versions of Mendeley, like I was just saying, the one I can make available to you is the one that is 1.19.4, which immediately you install it, it will update to 1.19.8. What they have now is 2.80.1, which is the one that is the online version, which you cannot use offline. You must be online to be able to use that one. And I know that most of us find themselves in places where they have, and I don't know whether you can even afford the data to remain online to be using your Mendeley reference manager. So we still have the ones that you can use offline, make it available to you. Okay, when you lay your hands on the software, the desktop software, you install it in your system and then log in with the desktop, Mendeley web accounts particulars. That's your email address and the passwords that you use in creating your Mendeley web account. Remember, I said that the first step is to create a Mendeley web account. The same details that you use in creating your Mendeley web account is what you use to log into your Mendeley desktop software that sits in your desktop and runs in your desktop. Then there are configurations which you must do. Once you install the Mendeley desktop, the first configuration you will do is to install what we call MS Word plugin. This MS Word plugin enables Mendeley and your Microsoft Word, where you process your written works see each other. If you don't do this configuration, both of them cannot work together. You will not be able to do your citation. So you must do that configuration. Install MS Word plugin. It's very, very important. Then another configuration you can do, which I will speak more on later, is web importer. I'll speak more on this web importer. It will still come up later. Now, to confirm that you have installed MS Word plugin, this is a cutout from Microsoft Word. When you open your Microsoft Word and click on the reference section at the topmost left point of your Microsoft Word, you will see the Mendeley logo, like you have here. You see the Mendeley logo here. That shows that confirms that you have installed the MS Word plugin. Then finally, what you need to do again is to, still in configuration, is to check whether the MS Word plugin has been installed. Looking at this also, what you're looking at again is Mendeley interface. You check again to see whether it's written. When you see uninstall, it means that you have succeeded in installing the MS Word plugin. So the next thing to do is to build a library. When we say build library, it doesn't mean going to get a land and start building a library. What we mean by building your library is the documents, the materials that you're going to be writing with, building it into your Mendeley desktop application. Like we all know, computer is garbage in, garbage out. What you give computer is what you give you back. So if you don't build your library with the documents you're writing, Mendeley cannot see what to use to do the citation for you when you need to do that. So now, how do you build your library? There are different ways of building your library. You just choose the one that is, the ones that you like to use. There are many ways, but some of these ways are building your library through documents that you already have in your computer for the write-up or the research that you are carrying out. Again, you can build your library through documents that you have stored in your external storage device, like flash drive, your hard drive, and other storage devices. You can also build your library through the web importer. Like I said, web importer will still come up. Then you can build it through manual method. This has to do with materials that are not online, but you still want to use them. You still want to cite them. Our presentation will be in two parts. What I'm doing now is the theoretical part. We'll still do the practical. Some other things you can do is to manage your library. When you have built your library, what you're looking at is an already built library, documents that you want to use for your write-up. You can decide to build your library in all documents, like you have up there, or build it paper by paper or research work by research work, by creating folders for different papers that you're writing. What this means is that it requires you to put the different materials in different folders for your write-up. If you put all your materials in all documents, you may not be able to know which one you should use for a particular work. So it's recommended that you build your library paper by paper by creating folder. I'll show you shortly. Then, when you have built your library and having looked at the papers that you have, because before you start writing, you must have known the documents that you have. Know the documents is reading through. Reading through the documents that you have will enable you to build more knowledge about what you are writing. So when you start doing citation, you know that this particular author did something on definition of that particular variable that is in your paper. And of course, you have to choose the citation style that you want to write with. Like I said, Mendeley will expose you to thousands of citation styles which you didn't know existed. And at this stage, our PhD students are required to publish before they are allowed to do their final defense. And it's in impact factor rated papers. Most of these impact factor rated papers, journals, sorry, most of these impact factor rated journal outputs require you, they don't have a uniform citation style. So this Mendeley saves you the trouble of having to master all the citation styles. Mendeley will do every citation style, any citation style that you need to do seamlessly. So you don't need to be scared of visiting journal outfits because it's only APA that you know, or if it is only IEEE that you know. So with Mendeley, you can do any citation style you need and be able to go to any journal outfits and publish your paper. I want to also tell you at this point that most people or most scholars or most students go to a particular journal, they bombard a particular journal that has this APA because that is what is generally known. So Mendeley will help you go to places where people don't go and increase your chances of being published. So you can choose the citation style that you require in your write-up. Then looking at what we have here, you are looking at a Microsoft Word interface, trying to show you how you can do your citation. When you have need to do your citation, what you do, you go to the reference, as you can see up there, you click there, click on insert citation, it will bring out the link that will take you to your Mendeley to be able to pick the particular material that you want to cite. And of course, your cursor will be at the points where you want to insert the citation. Now, at this point, I have to give you this knowledge. There are two main ways of doing citation, direct and indirect, basically. Now, when you want to do direct, you want to say, according to Okeke, 2022, you say exactly what Okeke said. Then again, the indirect way is to paraphrase what Okeke has said. And at the end of Okeke's statement, you put the citation. So by default, Mendeley wants you to do your citation indirectly. And that is the best standard of writing. What do you understand? Stop telling us what Okeke has said. What do you understand by what Okeke has said? That is the way of writing. And it helps you reduce plagiarism. And it helps you reduce the similarity index in your work. When your work is all true with what authors have said, when you run similarity tests on your paper, you see that the similarity index will be very high. So it's better you use indirect. Okay, at the end of the day, You can also merge citations. When you want to use multiple citations, Mendeley can also help you merge multiple citations seamlessly. I'll show you shortly. And when you are done your citation, Mendeley will help you generate your bibliography, even if it is 500 bibliographic listing, it will list all of them. At this point, I will say thank you for listening. I will now move to the next level of this lecture. Thank you. I don't know whether at this point, whether there are questions or I should continue. Okay. I want to show you how what we are saying, how it is done. Yeah, no, yes. Okay. At this juncture, sorry, at this juncture, this is a sample Word document. I want to show you practically how you can do your citation. I will also show you this is a Mendeley Okay, this is a typical Mendeley desktop interface, the one that is running on my desktop with an already built library. Now, I'm going to show you how libraries are built. I'm going to take you away from here, then take you to probably creating a folder. When you finish installing your Mendeley and you log in, this is what you will see. Let me when you log in, this is what you will see. A blank page like this. nothing in your library. So you have to start building material that you write with into your library. Now, let us name this library PG Workshop. I clicked on Create Folder, PG Workshop, and I want to start building this library. Once you do that, you click outside. Then, like I said, to build your library, there are different ways to build your library. One of the ways is to build with material that you already have in your system. So what do? You go to File, go to Add Files, assuming you want to build materials that are already in your system. Click on Add Files. It will now require you to tell it where you have the files. Sorry, we did not pin that particular listing, but I will continue. Okay, so I will go to my downloads where I can find some files. Okay, there are some files here. Let me use this one. Let me use this one. And I say open. So once I click open, it's supposed to go into my library. The internet is slow. Okay, it has entered now. So again, I can do another one. You can see that when I was about adding this material, it was in a code, but now Mendeley has just decoded it. So I want to add another one, add file. It takes me to where I took the first one, downloads. I scroll down to maybe pick another material. This is another material I want to add to my library. I say open, and it goes in. So this is building your library through materials that are already in your system. Again, you can build materials into your library through the external storage device where you have your materials. It's just the same thing like building materials from your system. Then, since they are the same, let me talk about building materials manually. Now, if you want to build materials manually, you go to File, go to Add Entry manually. Then here, you will state what type of material you want to build it. Is it a book? Is it a book section, which is book chapter? Is it case, computer program, encyclopedia article, film, generic, magazine article, patents, television broadcasts, thesis, web page, or working paper? You now decide. For instance, let's say it's a book. You choose book. This is when you're building manually. Then for the title, let's use introduction. Like I said, this is for when you have materials that are not online. They are physical, hard copies that you want to use. So introduction to Mendeley. Let's use that as the book that we are entering. Who is the author? Okay. Put a comma, put the initials. J dot P dot. Now, if there is any other author, use enter key. Don't use and. Use enter key and add the second author. Okoro, comma, O dot H. If there is any other author, use enter key again and put it under. If there is none, you click outside to enter all the other details of the material, like year. Maybe let's say the year is 2020 or 2022. Pages that you want to cite, maybe 1 to 3. Then other things that are needed is the city of publication of the book, maybe Enugu. Then if it's edition, maybe second edition, you can add. If it's an edited material, you can add the editor's name. Then for publisher, let's say this publisher is Elsevier, add Elsevier. Then of course you save. Once you save, it goes into your library. Then another way of building your library is through web importer. Like I said, because of the way this Zoom operates, we may not go into details about that. But these options that I've explained can help you build your library. But let me tell you how web importer operates. Once you click on tool here, you see install web importer. What it does is for you to, when you run a search in something like maybe Google Scholar or Google, it helps you aggregate all that you have searched, the queries that came out, so that you can migrate them into your online Mendeley web accounts. Then you can later sync to the desktop account. So it's not very, very necessary you use it. But if you must use it, I've left my link for you to contact me after this lecture. Okay, having said this, let me now go to a library that I have already built, having showed you how to build library. Now, like I said, you can also manage your library. Managing your library means ensuring that the things that you have in your library, the bibliographic details of the materials that you have in your library, they are complete. Otherwise, you will have incomplete citation. For instance, let me pick one of the materials here. Now look by your right-hand side, you can see the details of this material that I've just selected by the right-hand side. Is a report from the type of material you see here, the name of the title of the work, the author, the year is there, the volume is there, the issue is there, the pages is there. These are the things that you have to make sure that they are complete. If anyone is missing, like year of publication, maybe volume, issue number, or any of the bibliographic details is missing, you rest assured that you have an incomplete citation. So you will ensure that the details are complete. If you are building your library while online and there are some missing information, what you will do is you right-click on that particular entry that you've made in your library and click on update details. When you click on update details, it will update the details of that particular entry that you've made. As you can see here, updates details. Updates materials details. Okay, now this is how you manage your library. You can also manage your library by opening the materials that are in your library, reading them, And of course, highlighting the areas that you would like to use in your write-up. For instance, you can do this by clicking on any particular entry that you've made, and it opens. You go to highlights. Once you click on highlights, it gives you the power or the enablement to be able to highlight any particular points in a particular paper in your library. The essence of doing this is for you to, sometimes when you have all these things in your library, you may not really know what that material have talked about, especially when you have read a lot of the materials in your library. It's just for you to, quick reminder. You can also change the colors of these highlights by going to the color. Some of us, we do have mood swings some days. Maybe you give a tailor your clothes and you come and you want to walk. You don't want to remember anything about that cloth. You can just change the color of the highlights. You can change the color to another color so that, or any color that appeals to you, you can use the color to, highlight or separate the highlights that you have made in your paper. You can also take notes. You can also take notes by going here, this point where you see my cursor, click on the notes, right click, add notes. Now, adding notes is maybe taking notes about that particular paper. What did the paper say? For instance, this paper defined human rights, So I'll close this paper and open it again. So when you open the paper and open the notes that you have taken, okay, you now see that the notes that you took there is that this paper defined human rights. You can also take other notes to know what the paper is all about. Likewise, other entries that you have in your library, you can take notes on them. Now, there's an exception to this. There are some papers or some entries, bibliographic entries that are here that you cannot open. Like these ones that don't have this PDF symbol, you cannot open them. They are either entered there through the means of manual methods or importation of other bibliographic formats like deep text or RIS. Okay, now when you have finished building your library and managing it, you can also start some particular materials that will form the core of what you want to use to write maybe your introduction or what you want to use to build the concepts in your literature review. So when you have a properly built library, the next thing for you to do is for you to start your write-up. Now, this is a screen grab. This is your Microsoft Word. You now want to start writing and inserting your citations. Like I said, Mendeley does citation by default using indirect citation style. Now remember, when you are writing, you don't start citation from the first sentence or the second. At least you make 1, 2, 3, up to 5. Then you start talking about what others have said about what you are writing. You don't start with citation. So now for you to start doing citation, this your cursor that you're seeing must be at the points where you want to insert your citation. For instance, I want to put a citation at this point in this write-up. You can see where my cursor is blinking around here. You can see where my cursor is blinking around here. That's where I want to put my citation. So what do I do? Sorry, here is the end of the statement. So what do? I place my cursor there, then go to reference in my Microsoft Word. When I go to reference, I click on insert citation. And you will see this link that is here. That link shows that I should go to Mendeley to pick the citation I want. So I go to Mendeley. Once I go to Mendeley, this is the citation, this is the particular document I want to use. So I select it, click on Cites, and I want to choose the citation style I want to use. I don't want to use Chicago, I want to use APA. We'll still talk about these other ones. I want to use APA 7th edition. So I choose APA 7th edition. Okay. You can see that it has just inserted the citation here at this point. So maybe there are some other people that said similar things. So I go back there, click on insert citation, go to Mendeley, choose the other author that have said something that is similar to what, or supported what the other author that I cited initially said. Then I click Cite. It will add another author there. So now you can see that it has two brackets. It shouldn't be like that. What you do is you now highlight the two inserted citations. Once you highlight the two citations, this insert citation will change to merge citation. Sorry, I'm not selecting it well. Let me select it well. You have to select it very well from the beginning of the citation to the end of it. Otherwise, it will not merge both of them. So now, once you have selected both of them, you can see now it has changed from insert citation to merge citation. So I click on merge citation so that it will merge the two citations that I've just inserted. Remember, two things are involved: in-text citation and bibliography. Let's go down and see whether we have any bibliography. Not just yet. So what do? We scroll down to a page, to another page, where we will write references. Then once we do that, some like it at the extreme left, some like it in the center. So I'm going to put it in the center. So when you do that, you click on Enter key, take that cursor to the extreme. Once you have that at the extreme, you go back to references. Once you go back to references, you say insert bibliography. Once you click on insert bibliography, it will insert the two bibliographies, the two citations that you have inserted in text. So when you do this, you can go back and continue your write-up. This is a one-time thing. You can't do it again. You will not be required to do it again. So you continue your write-up. Maybe at this point, I want to put another citation. You say insert citation, go to Mendeley. Maybe this is the guy I need. I say cite. Once you insert the citation, it will insert the citation. When you go to your bibliography, it has added it. So now, like I said, there are two ways of citation. direct and indirect. We have just used the one that Mendeley somehow prompts you to use. That's indirect. It is common to see most of our students using according to, or most of our scholars, the words of, in the opinion. I will show you how you can take care of that, if you must do that. So now let us choose the citation. But there's something I'm going to tell you. When I start this citation, is going to insert the citation as if I'm doing okay, so I have to go back again. Was that brief? Okay, sorry for the break in transmission. Our network was there. So, like I said, you want to accommodate our writing style. You remember I told you in the beginning that basically there are two ways of doing your citation. One is direct, the other one is indirect. When you use direct, you want to say exactly what your the person you're citing, what he said. Like according to Okeke, 2023 or 2022, you say exactly what Okeke said. That's direct. Indirect is when you paraphrase what Okeke has said, and at the end of that statement, you put the citation. So now, the best way to write is to paraphrase. That's the best way to write. One, it will reduce the level of similarity for you, because at the end of the day, you must check what you've written and compare it to sources that you've cited in doing your own work. So by default, Mendeley prefers you to do your citation indirectly. Say what you've understood from what you are citing. If you must use the direct way, which is common amongst our scholars and students, there is a way that you can still do that. Now, you can just write according to, then go to reference, insert citation, go to Mendeley, pick the particular citation you want, say cites, they now come there and edit the inserted citation. Now, according to this guy, is in closed brackets, so you open the brackets from the beginning of the author's name, remove the comma here, then you close the dates. Now, it will say, do you want to keep manual edit? Say, yes, I want to keep manual edit. So when you have done that, you can read, you can now see, according to Chenoweth 2020, as expressed by university, blah, 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 whatever that means. Okay, that takes care of our citation style. Now, as you go on, you can see that all the citations that we have put in, we have been adding here, they are all coming up in the bibliography. You can go on, I'll show you more. Insert citation, go to Mendeley, pick the one that you want, insert it. Insert citation, go to Mendeley, pick the one that you want, cite, and it goes in. Go to Mendeley, go to the particular work you want, choose it, cite, and it goes in. Like I said, when you pick multiple citations like this, you select all of them. Once you select all of them, it will turn to merge citations. And when you merge all the citations, looking down, it has added all of them. It has added all the citations that you just added. Now, before I round up, the beauty of what we have just done is that we did this work with American Psychological Association 7th edition. Now, imagine that you want, or let's say a case scenario that you want to now use IEEE, you want to convert the work to IEEE. Just at the click of a button, open your Mendeley, open your Microsoft Word, click on IEEE. It will now change from in-text to bibliography. Your references, in-text, and the bibliography to change it to IEEE. Now, imagine a case scenario, you took a paper to a particular journal outfit, you want to publish it, they rejected it. And you now say, how are you going to start afresh to start doing references again, in-text and bibliography? You can see that at the click of a button, maybe you work this paper with APA, and the journal outfit you went to publish the work is using Harvard. So at the click of a button, you just click, you just change it to Harvard, just at the click of a button. So you see, it saves you the stress of manually doing your referencing and enjoying yourself while doing your research. So at this juncture, I will say that I believe we've had enough, and I'll leave room for questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for appreciating the presenter, and feel free to type your questions in the chat box and he will read them and answer. Thank you.
Okay. Someone just asked whether you can have the material
Yes, we'll send it through PG School to upload in their page on YouTube so that you will get it. More questions? What is the difference between reference and bibliography? It's nomenclature. The one you want to use, you can use. They are similars. They are similar words. Okay, like I said, somebody said whether they can get the software. I said I'll find a way to make the software available, maybe in the website of PG School, so that you can download. I will just upload it there so that you can just go there and download it. Just a little, about 40 something MB or 50 something MB. It's not much. I think I've answered this about downloading the software. I'll make it available to PG School. Yes, most of the questions is on getting the software. Since the Mendeley has closed the download of this desktop software, I have it. Luckily, I have it. Yes, if you have the old Mendeley, if you continue updating, you may find yourself using 2.80 and upwards, and you find yourself, you eventually end up in the one that we say that you must be online to use. So mind how you continue updating. So if you continue updating and enter that 2 point something, you must be online to use it. The advantage of this particular one now is that whether you're online or whether you're offline, you can use it. And I know that this one will work more for majority of our students. Yes, it arranges it as you insert the citations in text, it arranges it alphabetically. You don't need to maybe after inserting the citations, you just go and start arranging it again to do the whole work for you. All the punctuations that are needed to do it. Whatever version of any citation, any referencing style you need, Mendeley will do it for you. Yes, I've said that you can convert to any referencing style of your choice. You can convert to any referencing style of your choice. So somebody is asking whether you can connect MS Word to Mendeley. Yes, I say that once you install your Mendeley desktop, you have to do a compulsory configuration, which is installing MS Word plugin. This will enable your Microsoft Word to see your Mendeley, while your Mendeley will also see your Microsoft Word. Yes, EndNotes is also a referencing manager. But why we chose Mendeley is because Mendeley is quite user-friendly. It wouldn't require you to make a subscription. I don't know whether that's where they're going, is this their online thing. But referencing managers like Zotero and EndNotes, they are not all that user friendly. So that's why the school management is recommending this Mendeley for you. It's more user friendly. It's not something that is going to cost you money. So it's free. Okay, someone asked whether we'll make the presentation available to you. We've answered this question before. We'll make it available to you. Yes. If you want to update your Mendeley, you can anytime, but be wary of eventually upgrading to the point where you must be online to use it. So I recommend using that 1.19.4 or 1.19.8. Stop there. When you get there, just stop. Don't do further upgrade or updates. You can always see my number at the slides that I just used for technical support, because some people will definitely have need for technical support. For instance, if you are running a window that is not genuine, Mendeley will not be installed in your system unless you are running a genuine window. You can run on a window that is not genuine. And sometimes the plugin can disconnect. You may not know how to reconnect it. You may need technical support on that. So you can always feel free to contact me on how to do that.
Okay, thank you. If we continue, I know that these questions will not end. And that shows how much you have paid attention to the presentations. And that also shows how much you have learned our presentations for today. So we thank you so very much. We thank you so very much. We will leave you with some information on how to continue. Now, very important information you need to know is that even though you have accessed this workshop today, if you have not done a proper registration whereby you pay the registration fees, you will not get a certificate. And if you don't get the certificate, you will not graduate. So I hope you know this. Whichever way you chanced on the link, that's okay, but you must do proper registration and pay the appropriate fees so that when you are graduating, you'll be presented with a certificate. That certificate must be presented before you get your results from PG school upon graduation. Please take note of this, very important. Second information you need to have is that all these papers will be uploaded on the appropriate YouTube channel. Also, if you didn't do a proper registration, I doubt that you'll be able to access the materials, the workshop materials, but that's part of what you're paying for. So you will get all the papers presented so far, and you'll be communicated. We will send you the link, and you know that it is with that confirmation of registration that we'll be able to access your contact and send you the link that you use to get into the dedicated website and download the training materials. Thank you so very much. Now for tomorrow, we're starting at 9 o'clock. We'll have 2 parallel sessions, one for PhD and then one for masters, all starting at 9 a.m. So you know where you belong and find yourself there with the links that you have. And we'll start by 9 tomorrow. We will still have lots and lots of presentations to do to help us achieve success with our research. Thank you very much. On behalf of the Dean of the School of Postgraduate Studies, Professor Romanus Ezokonko, and on behalf of the Chairman of the PGC Committee, Professor UC Okoro, I thank you immensely for being part of today's workshop. So we'll see you tomorrow, and God bless. So you can hit the leave button. We are the host, we will wait until you go. Otherwise, we will be a bad host. So you can hit the leave button and leave the meeting. Thank you very much.